co-ed baseball, well, yeah. Let's do, interesting, I haven't seen this. Okay. So you can actually pick NCAA, NAIA, different divisions as well. So we'll look at NAIA schools and have baseball. You want D1 instead? NCAA? Okay. Let's see what we got. Oh, now I got 15 too. Add. So it's going to add that as well. And now you'll see there are 6 institutions that meet that criteria. So that have D1 baseball in Indiana. You can list academic information as well. So if you want to know what kind of degree. So do we know the different types of degrees? How many years does it take to get an associate's? Bachelor's? Yay! So if we're thinking four-year college, which is most of you in here are thinking, we'll click that. And you can also add by major. So if you know for sure there's something you want to study, what's a major someone's kind of maybe interested in? Business. All right. So now we have a business major with baseball, Division I in Indiana. We're still looking at 6 schools that have that major. Admissions requirements. You can put in your own information here. I would really encourage you to do that. So if you think you've got a 3.5 GPA and your SAT score. Now if you don't know your SAT score, most of you have probably not, actually I'm guessing most of you have not taken the SAT, but that PSAT you took last year and the PSAT you will be taking next week give you a really good indicator of maybe where you're at right now. So we'll leave that just at 1100. I'm not sure where that came from.
The composite would be your math and your verbal on the PSAT or SAT combined. That's what composite means.
Yeah. So we'll close that. Oh, actually, never mind. Okay, so I think that's all it'll let me filter down for now. So you can look and see what schools that meet those criteria. So it shows 100% fit, which means it has everything that I listed on there. Shows the average GPA, average SAT score. This gives you a good idea of, hey, where do I land in comparison to other students at that school? So will this be a reach for me based on my PSAT score? Will this be easy for me to get in? It also will list cost and tuition information. So you can go through and kind of look at and compare these. It's super easy to add a school as your favorite. Anytime you see the cute little heart icon, just click on it, it'll add it to your favorite list. And you can also pin a couple of these to compare and look at. And then down here you can see there's more that don't meet all of the criteria I put in, but most of them. So you can also see why what didn't meet or what criteria wasn't there. So this one is obviously out of state, which would be the only difference, but it does have D1 baseball and business is major. So from here, you can look at any school's profile too. So anyone interested in IU? Any IU? No? More Purdue in here maybe? No? Okay. Take a look at IU. You click on the name of any school at any point in Naviance and you'll see kind of their profile. Like Mr. Law said, a lot of times there'll be more info on here than what might be easy to find on the college's actual website itself. So look how easy it is to add. Like I can just add this as a school I might be interested in.
And I want you to notice right up there, you see the IU logo just to the right of that. If you do want to go to their webpage, it's right there. So when you're a senior and it's time for you to make applications in there, you just click on that, find their application, and apply.
So they've got all the different tabs on here, a ton of different information. Let's look at studies. So it's going to show you here student faculty ratio, classroom size. Anyone know what retention means?
People return and come back.
Yeah, it's how many students come back for that second year.
That's actually a very high number.
Yes.
If you're seeing in the 90s, that's very high for a college.
All the different degrees they offer, so they have a ton of different options for you. Placement looks like they do use. So AP, if anyone takes AP classes, it does show that they will potentially give credit and class placement based on AP scores. Highest areas of study, so the majority of freshmen, this is what they're coming in and studying. The list of all the majors and minors they have, so you can search in here too. They're going to have business. You can see all the different options that they have. So it's a really good way for you to see, okay, maybe I really like IU, but maybe they don't even have what I'm interested in studying.
If you are interested in business, IU is a great school to go to for their Kelly Business School. It's one of the top-rated schools nationally.
Student life, so this is the fun stuff. Just kind of what campus will be like if you want to live and experience college on a college campus. So campus pride, I haven't seen that before. Large student size, look how many students are on campus.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, that's a big thing to consider. Please don't get so set on a big school like IU or Purdue if you haven't actually visited. Because coming from a small school like Oak Hill and going to that, you may not like it. Now, some students love having those bigger campuses, that big feel. I went to a small private school. Mr. Law went to a small private school. So just making sure that what you're wanting and what environment you will thrive in is the kind of school that you're looking at. Distance from your high school, so this actually lists it from Oak Hill, which is kind of fun. About 35% of students live actually on campus. Gives you some breakdown of the actual student population. They have a decent amount of international students. And then housing information too, so freshmen must live on campus. Different student organizations and clubs, ROTC, athletics. So it's really easy to search through and find all this info once you get onto that school's main page. Anything else on here, Mr. Law?
No, I think it's good.
Okay.
There's your finances there, okay? So if you want to know what a school costs, it's going to give you the tuition, room and board. Most of them will show you even, and I don't think it's in this area, yeah, there it is. The far right, receiving grant aid. Again, grant and scholarships mean that's free money you do not have to pay back. So it's showing 61% of the students that attend IU get some form of a grant or scholarship.
Very good. I haven't noticed this before either, but this is kind of helpful. So based on your family's income, you can get an idea of how much the actual cost would be potentially for you out of pocket. Now that's not taking into consideration, your specific GPA and test scores and stuff too, but it gives you kind of an idea about where things might be for you. And again, this is not set in stone. It depends on once you actually apply and your family's finances and all that fun stuff.
And those figures there would be, in most of your cases, not necessarily all, but in most of your cases, that's going to be your mom's salary, yearly salary, plus your dad's yearly salary, plus any kind of money that you make.
Is that average net cost, is that per year? Oh, obviously,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And then again, that can be covered other ways too. That doesn't necessarily mean that would be what you for sure have to pay out of pocket. A lot of these schools, there's a lot of incentives right now. They're trying to get students to come to school. In-state versus out-of-state, that's one of the big things to think of if you're considering not staying in Indiana, is out-of-state schools. There's typically a higher tuition rate unless it's a private school, or if it's a school that has like a in-state tuition agreement. So there are some states that actually will still give you in-state tuition even if you don't live in that state. Mostly it's like neighboring states like Indiana and Ohio and maybe Michigan. Okay, so if you add that to the list you're thinking about, once you go back to this college page, you can find that under here. So wherever you see that heart icon, you'll be able to see your list. I've used this as my fake profile for a while. I've got schools kind of all over the place. So it shows me here then, this is my list of the schools that I've listed that I'm interested in. Expected difficulty, this will actually have data in here once you put in your GPA and your test scores, and it will give you an idea of where you might fall with the actual admissions requirements for that school. It'll start showing you deadlines once you get closer to that, so you can see your senior year. Butlers, early, so they're rolling for that next year would be December. So by next December, as a senior, you want to make sure you've applied to Butler. Okay. You can compare them in here, you can move them, right at this point you won't move them to your application list, but gives you an idea, you can kind of see them here, you can still click on them, learn some more.
The video we showed a few weeks ago during your SRT, it kind of talked about the college admissions process. Okay, to be honest, that video was a little too late for seniors. You were the group we were targeting with that. Okay, and that video is where it talked about, what she just showed you. Most of your state schools in Indiana, you're gonna need to have a total completed application in next year, no later than November 1st, if you want to be considered for their scholarship money. Okay? So what that means for you, and I wanted to bring this up with this group, most of you probably, I'm going to guess, probably none of you have taken the SAT or ACT yet. You need to make sure that you get started on those this year. Okay? Because of COVID, the group ahead of you, weren't even able to take them until now. But your college application is not considered complete until they have the completed application, any requirements that they request from you. A lot of them will want you to have letters of recommendation and that kind of thing with it. And they definitely have to have your ACT or SAT scores. Okay, so you're going to want to be taking those, I would say, no later than second semester. What I usually suggest is that you take the SAT and ACT this spring, and then whichever one you feel like you do better on, then I would retake that sometime during the summer or very early fall next year.
And again, you've got that PSAT next week, so that will give you a really good idea of where you're sitting right now, much better than last year's PSAT score. So if you do well on that, you can kind of get a score for where you're at right now, give you an idea of what you need to work on before you take the actual SAT, when you sign up to do so in the spring. You can also just search up here, so if you know for sure there's a school you want to find, like it's just a search engine, it's pretty easy. I don't think IUK has very much listed, but you can just search and you'll find all the IU campuses. You can look it up from here too and all that. So, what else, Mr. Long, here do you think you wanted to see under the colleges?
Can you plug in like your FAFSA information to this and have that like help whatever search up colleges that will, I don't know, something like that?
So you won't be able to like log your FAFSA info into here, but that FAFSA info of your what's called your EFC, your expected family contribution, will be a big help as you start looking at schools. But your best point for like what a school's going to cost you is communicating directly with that school. So what you typically want to do is apply to a couple of colleges next fall before that November deadline. October 1 is when the FAFSA actually opens, and you'll learn more about what the federal government or the state government might give you for some financial aid. And then those individual schools you've applied to will then send you a financial aid package at some point that explains, here's what we cost, here's what you get from the FAFSA, here's what we'll give you for scholarships, here's how much you're required to pay, that kind of thing. So your best bet this year is to focus on those grades, get that test score in a good spot, and have a good list of colleges by the end of this year of where you think you want to apply for next fall.
As you can see there, back on that home page there, where the heart is, colleges I'm thinking about. So any of those that you select that's where you can just go click on those, and those are going to pop up. Did you show them the college match?
This one?
Yeah.
So this is going to be based on other info you've already put in the system. So if you listed business, so you can see here St. Louis, Missouri, they're pulling that up as potentially a school that might be a good fit because of the major, other stuff like this. Maybe as a way to see some more schools you may not have considered before, like Grace College up in Winona.
And see, you can eliminate them. So like if you look at Northeastern Illinois, like she was on there, you don't want it, you just click not interested and it goes away. And so that can then come down to a list for you that way as well.
Colleges other students have liked, that's pulling from everybody in Naviance. Colleges that have accepted students like you, so based on your GPA test score info that you put in, it will show you, this is just a demo count, but it will show you other schools that might be a good fit for you based on that.
The other thing, and I don't think we showed you, but you can pull up the school and you can actually see now, because we've gone back, about 7 years, I think, all of our alumni are in this system. And so you can actually see how many Oak Hill students are actually at that university right now too.
Trying to remember where that was. Here we go.
Yeah.
So this shows that like Oak Hill specifically, that last year with the class of 2020, 4 were applied and accepted, and then 2 actually enrolled. That may not be accurate because we weren't tracking and using Naviance as much, but yeah. Okay. Any questions about stuff you can do in here? Any questions about college searching,
Just
college?
Click on that scattergrams. I think that is a thing that you can fill out.
It's comparing applications of other students here
Yeah.
with that school. I haven't looked it up. It won't let me because I have to, yeah.
We've got about 5 to 7 minutes, so what I would say, unless you have anything else, is just take some time to start looking through different colleges and click on that heart if that's one that you want to look at further, and just start creating that list. The thing you guys have got to kind of start wrapping your head around is next year you will actually, especially for this group we're dealing with in here, you're going to live on Naviance, because anytime that you want to request anything from the guidance office as far as a transcript, a letter of recommendation will be your teachers, when you go to them for a letter of recommendation, all of that stuff will go through Naviance, okay? When you want us to send a transcript to a school you've applied to, you're going to request that through Naviance, okay? And Mrs. Gay and I, literally every day, we get emails, that, okay, somebody requested something from us, one of my students or her students, through Naviance. We go in there, and then we push that information on out to those universities for you.
Okay. Any questions for the whole group? We can kind of walk around to you in a couple minutes. I think it'd probably be good to at least try to get 1 or 2 colleges on your list of favorites before you leave today, just so you can start tracking some of that. Nothing? Wow, we're just loving Naviance now. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's more in here than what you thought it was. It's not just the Naviance lessons that you've done in the classroom. It's all that college and career research stuff in here too that is totally up to you to utilize. It is free for you, so please use it now. Getting that college, in the college and career realm, there's a ton of stuff in here, so.
The other thing too, and I think you guys took one in your last Naviance time, but there's 4 different, there's 7 different assessments that you'll be working through in the next 3 years, or 2 years here, that are going to help you along that path of trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life as far as an occupation, what your major may be in college. And so you need to utilize those. You took one last week, right? I remember that, right? No? In Naviance? Yes, okay, there's a couple of head shaking, yes. So you can look at those results and how those relate to different careers, and that will start to help you. Don't panic about knowing exactly what you want to do when you go to college. That doesn't mean you don't do anything working toward that. But it's very normal to go to college and change your major at least a couple times. I know what I started in and what I ended up in, and that was 3 different changes that happened in the first 2 years that I was in school. So that's fairly normal. And I know Mrs. Gay went through a little bit.
Yeah, I was pre-physical therapy and chemistry and biochem, and then I'm doing this now, so. Yay. You'll figure it out.
Does, Naviance, does it show you like scholarships and stuff?
Yes. Yep, and we'll kind of go over some more of that with you next year. But yeah, there's a whole section on scholarships there. They have a database of, I think, over, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of scholarships that you can look at that too there.
And then we put our Oak Hill ones in here too that come
Yeah.
across our office, and then this is, you can see here, this is where you track all where you're applying and stuff for next year. So that's not something you're gonna touch now, but just so you can see that's kind of all really easy to find on that same page. Question?
You save your search, like, if you search something, and then you have some colleges pop up, like, where would the search be saved at?
That's a good question.
Some college-
I'll come look at it.